You know who you are. We opened this one in a dark alley where some lady ran into a guy who just wanted to show off his wares. Now, of course, this dude was a flasher, which this show didn't even try to hide, with even the Phantom Thief Empire calling out the perpetrator, which, yeah, there's a little bit of pot calling the kettle black there, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Henri had ordered Stone River to put up flyers warning about the flasher, and if you needed any proof that this episode was directed by the same guy who gave us that insane Prince and the Pauper episode from the previous season, just look at how this dude accepted that order. Then again, maybe he's just trying to show how flexible he's. That wasn't a good snap. Meanwhile, Milky and Holmes were looking at their next meal, which, to be fair, even if slugs are gross, at least they can avoid the spiral curse. Anyway, they managed to get one of Stone River's many flyers that he just put all over the damn place, including on Aichi and Amy Sendo? Kid, unless you lost your blaster blade again, wait until the end of the show to make a cameo. But yeah, apparently these sweet innocent girls didn't know what a flasher was, except of course Ellie, who thus had to demonstrate for them. Then, as it just so happened, they found a trench coat just lying around. This ended up attracting Stone River's attention, who mistook Ellie as the flasher in question. Though to be fair, it's not an unfair assumption considering that with a little more confidence, she'd totally do it. With that though, Milky Holmes decided to start protesting against flashers, even though again, these girls had pretty much no idea what they were talking about. Well, yes, that is partially the reason why they do it. Oh, you mean the temperature, right? Sorry, my mistake. However, as a result, they end up labeling anyone in a trench coat as a flasher, including this girl. Aiko, we don't go back to your show until next week. Yeah, like many of Yuki Matsuoka's roles not named Evangeline, this girl, Chrono's main characteristic was that she was from Osaka. And she liked knocking off Madoka Maika's logo for no real reason. But yeah, she claimed she wasn't a flasher, but rather a skilled detective who was just dressing the part, mostly. Actually, maybe she's just trying to go for the Detective Drebin look. Please don't mess up the remake. Anyway, Crone was actually trying to hunt down the flasher herself, which hilariously enough got Milky Holmes to continue their little protest even as Crone tried to monologue. Again, I just love it when Hideaki Nakano directs for this show and the Neptunia anime with stuff like this. With that though, Crone had come to the academy to hire some assistants for her case, and Milky Holmes seemed like pretty good stooges, helpers. Of course, they refused to degrade themselves, at first, until she sweetened the pot with some kushikatsu, which are meat and vegetable skewers that have been deep fried. Oh, so that's where SpongeBob got the idea from. This also led to one of my favorite jokes in the episode, where Crone also tried to get them to refer to her as Crone-sama rather than Crone-chan. The latter name of course sounded like Kokoro-chan, which resulted in the usual comeback from her, who they then corrected. It was both funny, and also kind of adorable, as it hinted that she actually liked being called Kokoro-chan. Crone then revealed her toys, which allowed her to summon her own personal god, which on paper, yeah, that sounds incredibly powerful, until you actually saw what it did. I know of a few IRL streamers who could use that. Regardless, the god hinted at the flasher being in the school, so of course they approached the most likely suspect. I'll say, look, more random Madoka references. Huh. Well, anyway, Crone confronted 20 and, well... With whatever the holy hell that was, they continued their investigation by just asking everyone if they had seen a flasher, including this one dude in a trench coat, who I'm sure won't be important later. And eventually, they tried to get some help from the G4, and, well... Damn, Wally crashed out hard after Eve dumped him. But yeah, they asked if they had any leads, which after a quick Google search of hentai, it led to them asking if they meant 20, which yeah, that AI stuff is getting crazy smart these days. However, they also considered if the other members of the Empire could be the culprit, which, yeah, they all have some good arguments for being exhibitionists for the most part. Maybe not exactly Rat, though his voice actor kinda, maybe, definitely. With that, they decided to launch a sting operation to just catch the whole Empire, which for the Milky Holmes, that really should just be their general goal, but now with Crone guiding them. Thus, after the latest caper, where we got to see a nice shot of Henriette's butt, and the guys as well, to keep it fair, Milky Holmes arrived, all in trench coats. Cure Earth, everyone! And even though she was kind of one to talk, Henriette tried to call them out on how they were dressed. This, of course, was a part of their plan to expose the Flasher by playing their game.
That makes sense to me.
So, Henriette said bet, and Cheryl tried to flash, but as 20 pointed out, she buttoned up too much to the point that it was hard to take off the coat. This resulted in 20 giving probably one of his most coherent lectures to Milky Holmes ever, just ignore the content of it. However, Henriette quickly exposed that these girls were in fact phonies, as they were wearing clothes underneath, with Nero even using camera space, because otherwise how would she be able to wear all that underneath? However, Ellie apparently took the role seriously, and I'm sure totally not by choice. And of course, they had to continue that one subplot with Stone River. This is one of those anime that definitely has to have a lot of hentai behind it. Crone tried to help in a pretty well animated scene until she just epically failed. Understandably, just being done with these idiots, Henriette ordered a retreat, which also happened to spare Ellie from being exposed, which again, I'm sure she's totes against. However, the Green Detective then found herself in a scary noir background, which of course meant that someone was going to strike. Oh, come on, don't show off your ironing board like that. Yeah, that's totally what that was, so get off my back already. Nah, of course, it turned out that the real culprit was Crone, so yeah, I think they broke number 7 on Ronald Knox's Decalogue, but they kind of got around it by saying that this was in fact a split personality for her named Poe.
Monkey, mantis, crane, viper, tigress.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere, they just kind of dumped this lore about her coming from an oppressive rich family who wouldn't let her express herself in any way, resulting in a very overcompensating Flasher persona. Yeah, admittedly, even for this show, this is kind of an out-of-nowhere twist, especially when I think they were trying to make us feel bad for this girl, but whatever. They at least managed to help this girl find a more healthy outlet for her nudism by taking her to a public bathhouse, where it was okay to expose yourself to strangers as long as you weren't being a creep about it, i.e. Cordelia. I'm also gonna guess this split personality was the result of some blunt head trauma from her toys. However, this also let her clear her head enough that she's able to figure out that the trench coat dude from earlier was of course the real Flasher who was terrorizing Yokohama. With that, the episode ended with Crone getting on a Shinkansen back to Osaka, where hopefully she'll go see a psychiatrist. Well, not quite as insane as his last episode, which would be hard to top really, this is still a really fun episode by Hideaki Nakano. There's just some insane and fun energy everywhere here, especially from Milky Holmes not knowing the finer subtleties of flashing. Even Crone's weird twist wasn't too distracting, at least compared to everything else in this episode. With a show like this, the best comedy tends to come from the characters exaggerating their personalities to the nth degree. On paper, that might sound pretty straightforward, but to really get across, they do need some good and expressive animation. And like his previous episodes, Nakano portrays this by just letting the characters go all out. From non-stop protesting to nipple duels, nothing was off limits, which just made everything all the more entertaining. Of course, the star of this episode was Crone, with her pretty much leading the insanity with her antics and fun chemistry with Milky Holmes, in particular with Ellie and her interests. Sure, some of the stuff she did was really random, in particular that last minute twist with her split personality, but compared to everything else in this episode, it at least wasn't too distracting. And overall, this is easily one of the more chaotic episodes of the series, but in all the best and most entertaining ways at least. Be careful about going down dark alleys because you never know who you might run into, or rather who you want to run over. Thanks for watching, and if you're keeping your clothes on, I think you can enjoy some of our other videos on this channel. I mean, I won't judge your preferences. We've got something coming out almost every day, and in the near future, we'll try to do some longer form videos as I do have some ideas in the works. Look forward to whatever comes next, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and
Yeah.
Yes?
Got something that might interest you.
Let's see here, oh that looks good, do you take Apple Pay?